Alright, so today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the work of Robert Greene. Oh yeah, we're going to be looking at some excerpts from a recent YouTube interview that he did, okay, and focusing in on 3 of his books, The 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction, and Mastery, right? So we'll be kind of dissecting his ideas on power dynamics, the art of seduction, and the path to mastery is good. Hopefully you'll walk away from this deep dive with some practical wisdom that you can apply in your own life. Well, Greene, he really challenges conventional thinking, especially when it comes to the concept of power. Yeah, he argues that power is less about outward status or titles, right, and more about an internal feeling of control and influence. That's interesting because we so often equate power with, outward signs of success, like being a CEO or a political leader. Exactly, but Greene suggests that anyone can cultivate a sense of personal power, okay, regardless of their position. Interesting. On the flip side, he also talks about how feeling powerless can actually be even more detrimental. He even quotes Malcolm X, who said absolute power corrupts, but absolute powerlessness corrupts even more. That's right. And Greene highlights how powerlessness can lead to all these negative behaviors. That's a little like passive aggression and unhealthy power games, right, which I think we've all, probably experienced at some point, definitely, in our lives, And that makes me think about all the situations where, I felt powerless, when you're dealing with a difficult boss, right, or even just navigating, a frustrating bureaucracy. Oh yeah, have you ever experienced that feeling of powerlessness? Definitely. It's something we all encounter, I think, in different areas of life. Totally, yeah. Greene also has some really intriguing views on seduction, okay. He almost sees it as a higher form of power. He describes seduction as the ability to influence people, by making them feel pleasure and lowering their resistance. Okay, but it's important to note that he distinguishes, between what he calls, cold and warm seducers. Okay, I'm curious about that distinction. What's the difference? So a cold seducer is manipulative, transactional, and often focused on their own gratification, right? Whereas a warm seducer is genuine, focused on mutual pleasure and connection. Got it. And really strives to make the other person feel seen and understood. So it's more about creating a genuine connection and just getting what you want. Precisely. And Greene actually uses the term outer directed to describe this quality of warm seducers. Okay, it's the ability to really focus on the other person's, needs and desires. Got it. Making them feel special and understood. This reminds me of Greene's story about working with the rapper 50 Cent. He observed how 50 Cent would adapt his persona to different contexts. Interesting, almost becoming chameleon-like in his ability to connect with people. Yes, that's a great example. Greene highlights how 50 Cent was a master of reading a room, right, and adapting his behavior, to make people feel comfortable and engaged. When it comes to modern dating, Greene acknowledges that the landscape has become incredibly complex, right, especially for young men. He expresses concern about the prevalence of dating apps, and readily available internet pornography. It's like there's this pressure for instant gratification in the dating world, which doesn't exactly foster patience, right, or deeper connection. He argues that these technologies, right, can distort expectations, and make it harder for people to develop the skills, needed for healthy, fulfilling relationships. He actually tells the story about a date who used a discount code at a restaurant. Oh wow, and he doesn't condemn the person, but it's clear that the seemingly small action was a turnoff for him. It's interesting how these little things can reveal so much about someone's character. Absolutely. And this focus on subtle cues, right, leads us to another key theme in Greene's work, body language. Oh yeah. He estimates that a huge percentage of our communication is nonverbal. It's probably more than we realize, I would imagine. And the fascinating thing is, it's really hard to fake body language, especially for extended periods, right? It tends to betray our true feelings and intentions. Exactly, even when we try to conceal them, right? I love the story Greene tells about Milton Erickson, the renowned psychologist. Well, after being paralyzed by polio. Wow. Erickson was forced to rely heavily on nonverbal communication. He had to learn to read people like a book, right, just by observing their subtle cues. And because of that, he became incredibly perceptive. Imagine having that level of insight into what people are really thinking and feeling. I know it's fascinating. Greene encourages us to pay closer attention to those nonverbal signals, right? Things like eye contact, posture, tone of voice, yeah, even which direction someone's feet are pointing, can reveal a lot. That makes me think about all the times I felt off about someone, but couldn't quite put my finger on why, right? Maybe my intuition was picking up on those subtle body language cues. Exactly. What about you? Oh, have you ever had a similar experience? All the time. It's amazing how much we communicate without even realizing it. Yeah. But, Green's work isn't just about dissecting power dynamics, right? He also provides guidance, on how to cultivate inner strength and develop mastery in any field. Right, he has a whole book dedicated to the concept of mastery. He does. It's fascinating how he pushes back against the popular notion of finding your passion. Yeah, he argues that the idea of finding your passion, right, can actually be detrimental because it sets people up, with unrealistic expectations that everything should be effortless. Oh, I see, and constantly exciting. I can see how always chasing passion could lead to a lot of disappointment. Absolutely, and hopping from one thing to the next. Exactly, never really sticking with anything long enough to get good. Instead of seeking passion, Green suggests we should focus on discovering our life's task, an area that deeply resonates with our natural inclinations and talents, and that might involve hard work and challenges, and yes, even boredom at times. Precisely, it's about finding something meaningful, right, and committing to the long-term process of mastering it. Green uses a powerful analogy to illustrate this point. Watching Stevie Wonder play the piano, you can just sense the thousands of hours, of dedicated practice that have gone into his mastery. He points out that Stevie Wonder didn't reach that level of brilliance simply because he felt passionate, about practicing scales every day, It was a deeper sense of purpose, a dedication to his craft, that transcended fleeting emotions. It makes you think about those who achieve greatness in any field. It's rarely about overnight success or bursts of passion, right? It's about sustained effort, and a willingness to embrace the challenges along the way. And Green also emphasizes, the importance of the apprenticeship phase, that early stage where you're immersed in learning and honing your skills. He actually offers some really practical advice, for those entering an apprenticeship. He says to prioritize learning, over earning the highest paycheck right away. Right, seek out environments where you can observe, experiment, and take on real responsibility. That reminds me of the traditional model of apprenticeship, where you'd work closely with a master craftsman, gradually absorbing their knowledge and skills. It's like that saying, experience is the best teacher. But you need to be in the right environment to really learn and grow. Speaking of experience, there's a particularly poignant chapter in Green's own life, that has really shaped his perspective, right? In 2018, he suffered a stroke. Wow, I hadn't heard about that. That must have been a life-altering experience. Absolutely. This event forced him to confront his own mortality, and the limitations of his physical body. He's always been someone who seems to thrive on pushing his limits, physically and intellectually, I can't imagine how challenging that transition must have been. He's actually very open, about the psychological challenges, the recovery process, right? He talks about the initial phase of denial, followed by a deep depression, as the reality of his limitations set in. It's a testament to his honesty and vulnerability that he's willing to share those difficult aspects of his journey. But what's even more inspiring, is how Green used this adversity as an opportunity for growth. Interesting. He developed strategies for coping, that I think we can all learn from. Like what? Well, he talks about the importance of connection. His wife's support was invaluable during his recovery. Right, he also discovered the power of gratitude, learning to appreciate the simple things he could no longer take for granted. Those are such powerful reminders, especially when we're going through difficult times, and shifting our focus to what we're grateful for, can make a huge difference in our outlook. He also emphasizes the importance of perspective, recognizing that others face even greater challenges, right, and he found solace in daily meditation, which helps him cultivate mental calm and clarity. It's fascinating how he was able to find strength and resilience, in the face of such a difficult experience. It speaks to the human capacity for adaptation and growth, right? Even in the face of tremendous adversity. So even after everything he's been through, what's Green's overall view of human nature? He spent years studying power dynamics and historical patterns, right? Which can't be all sunshine and roses. He does acknowledge a certain sense of pessimism. How about humanity's trajectory? He's particularly concerned about our tendency to misuse technology and create new forms of suffering. It's almost like we haven't quite figured out how to wield the immense power we've created responsibly, right? But even with those reservations, Green hasn't completely lost hope, right? But what gives him hope? He sees hope in the rebellious spirit of young people, okay? Who are challenging the status quo, right? And demanding a better future. He even shared this really interesting anecdote about a dream he had. Oh wow, where he visited the year 2072. Okay. And in his dream, he found a world, okay, where humanity had seemingly solved its major problems. It's like a vision of a utopia, exactly. We finally figured things out. And while it's just a dream, it serves as a reminder, yeah, that the future isn't predetermined, right? It's something we're actively creating through our choices and actions. That's a really empowering thought. It is. It means we have the power to shape the future we want to see. It's not about passively accepting things as they are, right, but rather actively participating in creating a better world. So stepping back and looking at the big picture, yeah, what do you think is the core message of Green's work? What's the key takeaway for our listeners? I think it's about recognizing that knowledge is most valuable when it's understood and applied, right? And Green's insights give us a framework, okay, for understanding the often hidden forces at play in our interactions, both personal and professional. It's like he's giving us a set of tools to navigate those complex power dynamics, the subtle games that people play, right? Whether consciously or unconsciously. And by becoming more aware of these dynamics, we can make more informed choices, right, about how we engage with the world, how we build relationships, and how we pursue our goals. And maybe even avoid falling into the trap, of those negative power games we talked about earlier. It's about recognizing our own power, both internally and in our interactions with others, and using that power responsibly and effectively. Green's work has a way of making you think differently about yourself, yeah, and the world around you. It's not always comfortable, right, but it's definitely eye-opening. He doesn't shy away from the darker aspects of human nature, right, but he also highlights our potential for growth, resilience, and connection. It's like he's saying, hey, this is the reality of the human condition, yeah, but we don't have to be victims of it. Right, we can choose to be more conscious, more deliberate, more masterful in how we navigate life. And that journey of self-mastery, while challenging, can ultimately lead to a deeper appreciation for life, greater fulfillment, and a more profound sense of inner peace. It's inspiring to think about all the different paths to mastery, yeah, whether it's mastering a craft, or a skill, right, a relationship, yeah, or even just mastering our own minds and emotions. Absolutely, there's always room for growth and development, and that's perhaps the most hopeful message of all, yeah, that we have the power to shape ourselves and our destinies, no matter what challenges we face along the way. Wow, that's a powerful note to end on. It is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the work of Robert Greene. My pleasure. Until next time, keep those minds open, yeah, and those hearts curious. He sees hope in the rebellious spirit of young people, okay, who are challenging the status quo and demanding a better future. Interesting. He even shared this really interesting anecdote about a dream, okay, where he visited the year 2072. Oh wow, okay. And he finds a world where humanity has seemingly solved its major problems. So like a utopia, exactly. And while it's just a dream, yeah, it serves as a reminder that the future isn't predetermined. Okay, it's something we're actively creating through our choices and actions. That's a really empowering thought, yeah. It is. It means we have the power to shape the future we want to see, right? It's not about passively accepting things as they are, but rather actively participating in creating a better world. I like that, yeah. So, stepping back and looking at the big picture here, yeah. What do you think is the core message of Green's work? I think it's about recognizing that knowledge is most valuable when it's understood and applied. Okay, and Green's insights, yeah, give us a framework for understanding the often hidden forces, right, at play in our interactions, both personal and professional. It's like a complex power dynamic, yeah, those subtle games that people play, whether consciously or unconsciously, right? And by becoming more aware of these dynamics, yeah, we can make more informed choices about how we engage with the world, right? How we build relationships and how we pursue our goals. And maybe even avoid falling into the trap of those negative power games that we talked about earlier, exactly. It's about recognizing our own power, both internally and in our interactions with others, right? And using that power responsibly and effectively. Green's work has a way of making you think differently. It does, about yourself and the world around you. Yeah, it's not always comfortable, right? But it's definitely eye-opening. He doesn't shy away from the darker aspects of human nature, yeah, but he also highlights our potential for growth, resilience, and connection. It's like he's saying, hey, this is the reality of the human condition, but we don't have to be victims of it, right? We can choose to be more conscious, more